this is just a short video. For the epoxy stuff, I really like to use the mica style dye because it gives that metallic effect that shimmers. But I wanted to try something just to see if it'll work as an experiment before I move forward with some other ideas for some designs for this channel. So I'm actually going to try the Procion Dye. It's the dye I use for all the tie-dyeing. It's a fiber reactive dye, and I'm really curious what this will do in resin. Will it dye? Will it just stay as particulate? No clue. So I couldn't find anything online of somebody else having tried this. I mean, people try all kinds of things as dye, but I haven't seen this. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try with maroon. Honestly, it's pretty randomly picked from the 50 or so bottles that I have laying around of different colors. I'm hoping, I don't know what I'm hoping for. I'm curious if it'll separate like it does with ice dye, or if it'll just become a solid color. So I guess we'll all find out. I'm going to do two different ones. I'm going to use the Art and Glow, since this is a casting resin that allows thicker pores. And I'm also going to try Art Resin. And this is what's normally known as like a tabletop resin that you pour. I think the max thickness on the Art Resin is something like 1/8 of an inch. Maybe a little thicker, but I'm pretty sure you can't even go 1/4 of an inch thick in a single pour. So I'm going to try both of those. I'm going to do all of this by volume, and since the volumes are so incredibly small, I'm just going to use some oral syringes. Assuming my fingers work this morning. There we go. And use that to do all the measurements. There's 2 for one of the epoxy types. There's 1. And there we go. I've got all that ready. So let's go ahead and do the Art Resin. I'm sorry, the Art and Glow casting resin first. Just because it's here. So, let's see how well this works with the syringe. I'm going to do about 2 mLs of each. There's a fairly large air bubble in there, but since it's a new syringe for each, I think it should work itself out as far as volume goes. And of course the hardener is much easier to work with. Alright, so another 2 mLs of that. I'll just let those sit in there for a second. And yes, I know people have issues with me using mixing cups that have that non-flat bottom. There's a little groove. So far it's worked out for me, especially for these small volume amounts. Let's go ahead and mix this up. Okay, so that's mixed up. I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side. My working time is plenty long for doing it this way. So let's go ahead and go with the Art Resin. Pouring up the resin. Can't fit this in the camera view, so sorry about that. There's 2 mLs. And there is 2 mLs of hardener. Alright, so those are mixed up, or closed up. Go ahead and pour that in. And grab another stick. Alright. So, maroon fiber reactive dye. I don't really have a way to measure the incredibly tiny amounts I'm going to put in here. So this isn't a, I don't know, very scientific test. So, but it is a test to see if this actually works or not. And you can see that's a small amount that I'm putting on in there. Let's go for this, and this is the Art and Glow. Go ahead and mix that together. Alright, I'm going to try adding a fair amount of extra. You can see that's quite a bit more. So back to the Art and Glow. As you can see, there's a fair amount of particulate in there that is not mixing up. Curious if I mix it in water first and then add it, like a concentrated solution. Here, you can see the particulate. So, I am going to say those did not work at all. Alright, instead of just saying that's the end of the video and calling it, I'm going to try something else real quick. So what if we do use the liquid dye? I know this says red, but it's actually fuchsia, and it's mixed at about 2 to 3 times the normal concentration for something else I was going with. Let's go with the Art and Glow. Alright, so each of these again. I'm going to go with like 1.4 mLs this time. So, really small amount. Alright, so both of those are in. And another stick. Alright, so that's mixed. So let's go ahead and try the liquid dye. I shouldn't change the volume by more than, I believe it's 6% or so, or you risk having the epoxy not set properly. Alright, I'm going to let this one sit and actually cure, at least for an hour or so, just to see what happens. It's not even enough to cover the bottom. Okay, there's the, alright. Consistency looks okay. I mean, it's not super thin. Just for kicks, I'm gonna put a little bit of brass in here. Okay, it's probably not what most people thought by a little bit. sure if you can see it. Alright, put that down in there, and I'm going to let that cure. Take a look at these. I already pushed them together, so pull them apart a little just to take a look. As you can see, that would not be usable because of all the particulate, and the other is even chunkier. Consistency's better though. Alright, so I'll let this sit. Alright, so it's been over 24 hours or so, and it's solidified. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down just to have a closer look. And let's get some fingerprints in it. See if we can pop that out of there. There we go. It's more flexible than it should be. As you can see, it's really flexible. So I might try this again and do a hyper concentrated solution. Maybe, I'm talking a teaspoon of liquid into a teaspoon of powder kind of thing, and see if it'll dissolve down enough to where it can be used, or it just might not be worth doing this and just stick with the mica. But this is way too flexible for my purposes. I can sit there and roll it up into a cylinder. So while it looks like it works, I don't think it'll work out very well.